Call the meeting to order. We have a forum. Reading and approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
I move we.
Second. Motion made and seconded. Additions, corrections, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Bills, communications.
Okay, so we have quite a few bills this month. One from NYSEG, which has already been paid online for $258.74. Our usual interest payment for the loan, which is 1583.33. We have 3 more loan interest payments to make. And then I think the principal is due also at the end of the year. So just something to remember. Our consulting services invoice $4,166.66. We have 2 invoices from Garda Cloud. One is for $29.62, which I think is a monthly payment for Microsoft products that we got, and one is for $600, which I believe was for the installation of our new stuff. Soil and water, we have their invoice for whatever they did on the sewer line for $16,500. CNS companies, we have an invoice for $1,347.33. Our QuickBooks monthly invoice is $48.60. I'm gonna see, it should be 45. I'm gonna see if we can, we're not for profit, but I'm gonna see if we can get the tax lifted off that for future months. And then from Aurelius, we have a whole stack of bills for all that's charged. There are no taxes exactly, except that we have one for every property that I guess we're involved in for the fire.
Yeah, special district.
Fire, yeah.
Yeah.
The Aurelius Fire District, so they all add up. Most of them are like, there are a couple that are a couple $100, but some of them are like 89 cents. But they all add up to $1,836.06. And then we just got a bill from Collier, the land assessors for the balance, because they finished their assessment, and that was $4,250.
Can you make sure that these tax bills, none of them are for the properties we sold last year?
To figure out what property she sold.
Yes. You could work with Mike, Mike or I, or,
Yeah.
and if it's a property we sold, because sometimes the name doesn't change
Okay.
automatically. It takes takes some time, and then we could have Justin give it to our council, or Mike could give it to Brian.
Okay.
For the milk plant. I don't have that in front of me, but yes. Because I believe we only own 3 left in the park
Well, and
now.
a lot of it's for. stuff
Yeah,
we
that's
bought,
okay. Yep, and it
because
happens.
there are probably 12 of those
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
So,
And what should she do with those? Just forward them over?
Forward them to Justin, and Mike she could probably send them to Brian at the milk plant. Justin could send it to the special counsel, the milk plants council, so that way everybody's getting it. Yep. Yep.
Did soil water, was that 1 culvert or 2?
if I can-
I told Doug we needed 2, but I think he only did 1.
There's 2 been put in.
Oh,
The
okay.
big one's put in and the small one, I didn't look to see if it was a bigger pipe like it was supposed to be, because somebody put the old pipe in some time ago. Somebody put a whole bunch of barricades up to keep people, especially from Home Depot, from driving down on that. Except they never put one across where the driveway is from Home Depot. I don't know who put them in, but whoever is should go out there and put one from the end that isn't any good anyway across that driveway. And the other thing, I believe that old culvert was metal culvert. Is that not right?
The small one was metal, the large one was plastic,
Oh, okay.
no value to it.
No, it was left there and I thought it was metal and if it was, somebody should have taken it. If it's plastic, it don't make any difference.
Just debris.
The invoice just says culvert replacement. It
Okay.
doesn't say,
Is that for both, what she said?
doesn't say, it just says culvert replacement.
The motion paid the bills.
I do.
Motion made.
I would
second.
just add under discussion that, as discussed, it's the county tax bills to, not pay the ones that,
You're really just still.
yeah,
The one
Whether-
that we transferred.
yeah, we're not gonna pay the tax bills for the properties that we sold to the milk plant, and
Like you said, it takes time for it, but,
that's all.
okay. Further discussion on bills. All in favor of paying our bills? Any opposed? Carried. Mike,
Alright, so I believe everyone has my written update, but I've got some other verbal updates to share for here. Starting with interest in land, we've been holding off on, reaching back out to potential clients at the moment as we are waiting for this report to come in as we got it on Friday. If there's any feedback from the board or our council on that, let me know right away so I can get back to them. And from there, we'll be looking to share with interested parties who have been inquiring on the parcels we have for that in particular. I also shared with the board over the last week, I had followed up with a property owner just outside of Weedsport. As they shared with me, they are at this time watching the market, so they're waiting for some other industrial parcels up there, which are considerably smaller. To better gauge what they think they could get the land for. That being said, I met with Tom Blair and Steve Lynch. Also last week, there's a couple parcels out there that look pretty good to us. So part of the meeting I had with them is to get a hold of the property owners in particular. I've sent them notes in the past, but really trying to get who they are in particular there. David Botar's office worked with ours for a number of months. This is back when I was at CCIDA and the surrounding region to put together a site profile for the region itself. That should be coming out later this week, and if not this week, next week, I'll send that around for the board to take a look at. It looks pretty good. It has a lot of the IDA's properties listed on there, so it's a good marketing tool as it is as well, so.
Like the last time we discussed that property south of Weedsport, that
Yeah.
you just brought up.
Yeah.
Somebody mentioned that the auctioneer owned the property just south of that. And I know him reasonably well, which is maybe a mistake.
Okay,
But anyway, I called him and that is for sale.
okay,
If you wanted to add that, I think there was 66 acres.
that's on a side road though, didn't you say?
No, it's right on Route 34.
Oh, okay.
yeah, I know the exact one you're talking about, and if we could get that with.
They
the
used
other
to
one.
have horses or something there.
Yeah,
Oh, he owns that, where the horses were?
Yes.
Oh,
What's his name?
Dean Cummings.
Dean Cummings.
Cummings, yes. I can't think of anybody's name. Yeah,
If he owns it, it's for sale.
if he owns it and it's for sale.
okay. All right, that's a good note, thank you.
That was a beautiful property in its day.
Yes. Yeah, very nice.
Oh, yeah, that was a so good.
Gotcha.
I'll get on with a couple other items here. On the transition we've been doing from CCIDA, we have our new email account set up along with phone. We also have QuickBooks set up. We're just waiting for access to our digital files, and we should have everything moved over on that end. There. Moving on, Katie and I have started doing prep for the 2023 financial and state audit, so. I believe we can get sent out to all IDA beneficiaries, the site, or not the site, the project reporting form that we have to have in. The financial audit is the first full week of February. I believe we should be in pretty good shape, especially after all the work he did last year to correct issues from years past. Pilot billing, This again, we're supposed to have all of our money in by the end of the month. I believe Katie had all of those out. And lastly, what I do have in the packet is my contract with the IDA was up at the end of December. What I have in the contract for the board's consideration is to run it through the end of March for now. And part of the thinking behind that is to make sure, I help the board get through the financial and state reporting periods. And as it is, I think it's in the best interest of all parties to keep it on a short term for now. That's the high and low I have for everyone. That being said, happy to answer any questions.
Have we collected anything from the pilots?
Not yet.
They do get the penalty if it's not in by the 31st.
Are we doing anything about space or what are we doing?
I think it's kind of been a holding pattern at the moment, and because Carl is here, the last I checked with both, not with Carl in particular, but with Andy, is that, the space over at Water and Sewer is looking to get cleared out. For us to kind of set up shop for a bit, but I think at the moment we've been doing all right. Going back and forth, but I'll let Katie weigh in more than me on this, because she's doing a lot more of the administrative work.
It's, I'm trying to do the IDA work from home remotely. So that I don't get to, because otherwise if I'm here, I forget and I start printing things and copying things and stuff, which I don't want to cross those lines if I don't. It's not a good idea. So, but that does mean like these things that I Xeroxed, I took to Staples. And it cost about $200 to Xerox all of these, so there will be some expenses like that, but I think we're making it work for now.
Do we have a contract with her like we do with you? First of the year?
I have one to sign, I didn't sign it yet.
That-
But I'm doing your stuff, so.
She's here.
Yeah.
Questions for the director? Thank you. Treasurer,
Okay. So. Here's the, okay, so. Needless to say, with the milk plant and all of that, our actual. Is kind of way over what we budgeted for the year. Well, this is showing a negative, which that's.
Thank you. Excuse me. Sorry.
There wasn't during the month of December, there wasn't a whole lot of activity. We're still sort of flying on the fees that we got from the milk plant. I'm looking to see our interest is for through the end of December has been $13,990, which is seriously higher than the $1,500 we had budgeted for. So making the move to that money market was a very good choice. It wasn't really, we got today a check from the Innard Run for $49, but we haven't had much other income. The pilot income sort of comes and goes, so that doesn't really count for anything.
We're showing no income for December,
I don't.
and investments, the CDs and all that, we're not showing them.
It's, well, that's weird. It might be that these were run before I finished the bank reconciliation. We definitely had about, I'd say, 3,000 and something interest on that money market. So
Can you just?
I will adjust this and send it out to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
regards to, our cash. Have we billed EDS for the work that, or whoever we're billing for
The grant,
the grant?
Oh, we did, so we did,
How much did we bill?
yeah, so we, I don't have the exact figures on me at the moment, but we had submitted for reimbursement to the EDA twice, and we did receive those monies over, I think it was the last week or so.
Yeah, it was just last week.
Okay, so,
how much money?
if you give me just, also here, I will give you the exact figures. No small amount though. Yeah. Needed it with the amount of bills we had come due over the last month or so. We were reimbursed for a little over 687,000.
687, okay, so, and that's not reflected. in these
No,
numbers.
I sort of realized after the fact, I should have accrued them as receivables and I didn't, so I will make sure I do that when the invoices go out in the future.
Okay, so that right now anyways puts us 2.2 million funds in cash.
And part of the importance of my feeling that making sure we actually got those back in the bank is because this CCDC loan is coming due in a couple of months here, so while we're writing out the interest on that, make sure we have this in the bank is reassuring.
Okay. Good.
And we haven't used any of the loan.
No, we've just used our own cash
Yeah.
at this time and I'm glad Steve Marin's on here for us. He'll be able to give us a comprehensive update on where they are. I know from Mark's last update, they were kind of holding off as we were going into year end and they were waiting on a couple of things to arrive at the site. So
Any more on the treasurer's report?
I don't think so unless Jen has anything.
Your motion, approve it. Herb? Okay,
I'll second.
so made seconded, further discussion on treasurer's report. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Unfinished, my favorite, sewer line.
Steve Marin, I think you're on here.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Steve.
Mark's also trying to call in. He's having some problems with the Zoom at the moment. He's not able to get in. Oh,
What's
he
the other engineer's
froze.
name? Mark. See if he wants to call me.
See him showing up here, Steve, but
I'm gonna text him if he wants to just call. I could put him on speakerphone.
go ahead if you could.
Currently, they are still holding off on site to be installing the final stages of the pump station. I believe everything else has been completed as far as the force main. We do have some extra work orders. I'm not sure if you guys know about those yet, or
Change orders?
yes.
Oh,
I. So, can you share with us what those are?
Yeah, we have a electrics. Well, these are with right now they're within the, extra work within the contract, so, haven't been finalized yet, but we have an electric service that needed to be, moved according to NICEAG. Which is 2 of them. There was the ditch work they didn't need to do, someone else did. We've also got test holes for the water excavation. There was another test hole along Ellis Drive in 326. They need to encase.
Some of these sound familiar. You go on, Steve.
They needed to encase the concrete for the existing water main due to its close location of the sewer main. They needed to, there was a different NICEAG requirement for the fused meter of the electrical work. And lastly, there was a.
Good. I'm gonna put you on speaker.
And lastly, there was a traffic loop that needed a repair, which they had done as well. So
Mark on the phone.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, guys. Hi, everybody. So these change orders, I assume there's a cost that comes with them. Can you give us an idea what that might be? Could you please repeat that? The change orders, Mark, that were submitted. What's the additional cost, if any, to us?
It looks like we're gonna have, the big one is the electrical modifications that are required from NICEAG. They want us to tie into a different location, but the total number we're looking at is about 30,000. Correct me if I'm wrong with that, Steve, Miron, about 30 grand round numbers.
Does that include the 16.5 from Cayuga County Soil and Water?
No,
No, that does not. No,
Okay.
that work was done by soil and water folks.
Yeah, and we did approve to pay that bill earlier in the meeting. I don't know if any of the board members have seen any of these change orders.
Yeah, Mark, you had mentioned to me a couple of months back about NICEAG saying we had to go across the street for some of the electrical work. Is this in addition to that, or is this more?
They ended up reporting almost to a disconnect on the other side that jumped the price up close to $15,000. And that 30,000 that I'm talking about is some of the other not incidentals, obviously not incidental, but other cost increase that we're seeing throughout the construction of the projects. One being additional rock excavation. Another one being an unforeseen water line that had to have a concrete encasement on it, things like that. Steve's going to be summarizing these up to you with a list of change orders. And I did want to also mention that we did put in the contract a $40,000 allowance in for unforeseen condition changes, basically. So there is money allotted in the contractor's bid price to cover these change orders that aren't going to be over and above and beyond the 1.5 million, I think it was. So they're going to be covered underneath that allowance that was there. But like I said, there's going to be a detailed write-up on what the changes were, what unforeseen conditions were found during the construction phase. So this will be forthcoming.
Mark, did you approve like the rock cost for excessive rock and stuff like that?
Yeah, there's not much you can do about that. They were digging and you can't change the invert for the pipes and all that. So we had a line item in there for it. The a bid on, so that item, I think I had 50 cubic yards in there for an assumption. Where we're actually more into about 150 cubic yard round numbers. There wasn't much you could do about, not, stopping on that. They're digging. I didn't want to hold them up either on that, so.
The totals that we discussed were just over $30,000. So that's less than that $40,000 allotment that was in the contract.
So, as a percentage, what percentage would you say is, are we, or is the project complete?
Right now, we're about 72% of the project is complete.
And we're just waiting for the, generators.
Well, the generator won't be there till August.
Right.
Time frame of this year. That's the long lead item.
Right.
We've got, right now, the contractor has all the components, minus, I think, the VFDs, they have all the components to start putting together the interior of the pump station, all the equipment that goes inside of that, and also the equipment that goes inside of the valve pit as well too. Which they're scheduled to start working on that this week, actually.
Okay, so we've got, are the structures built for the,
Here's where we stand right now. All of the force main pipe has been put in, the valve pit has been put in, the pump station has been put in, and the gravity sewer pipe has been put in. So all the underground stuff, all the underground work is done right now, along with the restoration out along Ellis Ave. The only thing left to do is getting basically the components inside the valve pit, inside the pump station done and started, and the electrical work done. That's it.
They have to get that electrical work done and inspected before we can get the power company online to hook it up.
Yes, and that's part of the contract that they have to make sure that it's done. And I can't think of any electrical guy that's doing it right now in Ellis, actually. It's the electrical contractor that's gonna be doing the work. But yes, all it's gotta be inspected, yes. I think things are moving along actually at a fairly good rate. I know they've taken a couple weeks off here, 2 or 3 weeks off here between Christmas and New Year's now, or I should say Christmas and New Year's before Christmas. And, things are, in good shape with getting things, finished. And as far as, surprises, with underground work, nothing crazy out of the ordinary came up, minus the whole change with nice. Like, I don't know why their planning department, when they were looking at the drawings, didn't comment on that, but that is what it is at this point. But all in all, I think the things have been moving ahead fairly well.
Mark, at what point will the IDA and in turn the Water and Sewer Authority be getting as-built from the contractor that you've approved?
I could see that sometime this spring,
Okay.
March, April timeframe. Is there an importance for that? I'm kind of curious.
No, just want to make sure we don't lose track of that.
Questions? Thank you.
thanks, Mark.
All right, sorry for the delay on that, guys, getting in, but I think we have a good one. But let's work with you guys.
You too.
I'm down.
Enjoy your retirement.
Steve.
So your office is going to be sending us additional information on the change orders for consideration at our next meeting? Is that what I'm understanding? Okay.
Yes, that is true. Yes.
Okay.
Enjoy retirement.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Water line. Oh, okay,
I
sorry.
just want to have one more question regarding the sewer. We had the other smaller grant, have we submitted reimbursement on that?
Yeah, so we have to wait until the project is done to submit for that one there, and we do have an outstanding question over to our prime contractor Highlander, because there's a WMBE requirement. That's part of that, and before Mark departed, I had been working with him and Highlander and some reps from the SD to make sure we met that. If not, there could be a withholding on the WMBE component of it, which doesn't make up a substantial portion of that grant, but enough to say from the ESD representative that it would delay processing.
But that's up to Highland.
So what Highlander did is they requested a waiver on the WMBE requirement. And they had to provide all of this documentation. It's one of the things I need to pick up with you, Steve, is the conversations Mark was having with Brad. To see if there was any development on that end there, because the SD was asking a week or two back to see where we were on confirming that.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to look into that and get with Mark on his previous conversations with Highlander.
Okay.
So did we grant the waiver?
It's not up to us to grant the waiver, it's up to ESD to say
Okay.
we've met their waiver requirements. So we were waiting for Highlander to, prove without a doubt to ESD, they had tried with us through a separate on that end, so. Any other sewer questions?
Water line.
I would make the recommendation, we kick that down to new business, because we have a whole slew of items there, just it's wider water line, so.
Consulting agreement.
Yeah, as I mentioned in my director update there, this is just an update to my existing contracts and to extend it from January 1st through March 31st.
And moving to March 31st.
For a second.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded, we extend Mike's contract. Discussion.
Brett, you had a chance to look at it?
Yes, it's the same as before, but it's not in Mr. Miller's name, it's in the name of his LLC. And you're the sole owner of the LLC. And it was based on an agreement that our special counsel developed that with his experience with other IDAs throughout the state, when you have a similar consulting agreement with an executive director.
So this takes us through March 31st.
If it makes sense, continue that arrangement moving forward. I just thought that's for now, as I've discussed with this board, is I had said, I'll guarantee you get you through state and financial audits, so I want to make sure that.
I would think it would be important that we would know sometime ahead if he was considering not extending it past that. I don't want to get in the situation we were in before with, we find out.
I
I
want,
mean that the director was dismissed in the morning.
I promise not to leave you high and dry, because I guarantee this board with everything happened to me, you will get a personal phone call from me about that. I have no intent to suddenly step out barring some, act of God.
And we had no intent to separate from you
Oh.
on a moment's notice either.
This existing board has no issue.
No.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's call a roll call vote so that we have that right on the record.
Okay. Mr. Lafnation,
Yes.
Mr. Shea,
Yes.
you don't vote.
No,
I hope not.
Where am I? Gina?
God knows I should, but.
Okay, Mr. Lattimore,
Yes.
Mr. Marshall,
Yes.
Mr. Lockwood.
Yes. All are present, approving, carried.
Thank you, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll go to water line and new business. So. Just knows that.
Yep.
Justin's on, we also have Carl in the room, half your packet contains. Not just the authorizing resolution, but some of the EAF. In addition to,
An EAF is the full environmental assessment form of the seeker, the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act. Mhm.
we have that, and we also have the proposed engineering agreement with the group and the water and sewer authority. So Justin, on this one here for the authorizing resolution, mind reminding me if this one has to be read out.
You can just read the heading in capital letters and that's sufficient enough of a summary. For the motion, the resolution just takes preliminary action with regard to the proposed water line project. Authorizes the acquisition of easements necessary to install the line and allows you and the IDA board to begin working with the other parties to finalize the financial structure and how the project's going to work. So
It's the same resolution that the board received late last week.
Yeah,
Or earlier,
yeah,
early last week, actually.
yes,
Yes,
it was
early last week.
This was on,
Tuesday meeting. last
Yes.
yes.
Yes, sorry.
So the only thing that's changed is.
The date, yes.
Carl, you read the resolution.
Yes,
You have any comment?
no.
There's any discussion that would like to be had before I read out the authorizing resolution or anything else?
So can I ask?
Is there a motion?
No.
I move to have him to read the resolution. Is that what you want?
There's a second? Motion made and seconded. Okay, John.
So what is the, potential expense that the IDA will face if this goes in?
I don't know how much we're supposed to get into the financing, but Carl and I met with the milk plant. And they called and talked to me the next week, not only the manager, but the head of the finance people for the.
Herbie, this is,
I'm the CFO for Cayuga Milk Ingredients, Amy Galindo. So I'm here on our behalf.
I'm wondering, we are,
Yeah,
thank you.
so there was a discussion about that, and we're willing to put forward some financing to help put that line in as well. So that's to be resolved, but we've had discussions about that as well.
So explain that. What are we doing here?
My understanding. Go ahead.
well,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna maybe kick it to Herbie, but the understanding is that Cayuga Milk Ingredients would give us the benefit of up to $700,000 to install the water line.
Carl estimated that would be the cost if he did the work, and we passed the resolution. Whenever our meeting was to give Carl off the authorization to do the work.
So
And
is
my
it- Is
understanding,
this added on to the line you've already started or
Yeah.
including it?
it's to add on to where the
East
current
side.
line on Genesee Street ends and goes directly up Genesee Street across
Okay.
Bosse's property to the milk plant. And
Be a meter.
Carl estimated that the cost of that would be approximately $700,000. And the milk, this is my understanding
Yeah.
of what they agreed to pay the 700, but they would like to pay 600 and have the other plant there pay 100,000. If they ended up paying the whole thing, they would like a little difference in the cost of water between them who paid for the line and the other people who use it who did not pay for it. And that sounded to me like a reasonable business.
We're not gonna get into the water rates anyway.
No, but the capital cost, if there'll be a discussion about fairness to the milk plant and the other users in the park.
The other user would be the milk replacement. right?
Yeah, Decavant or Grover.
Yeah, I
yes.
can't remember the
Former.
name.
Yeah.
Okay, the others.
But there's also, we also have to think forward that there may be other users.
Yeah,
So let's bear that in mind.
So additionally, on that note, we've had discussions with Dankovit and we're just starting down the path, but we'd like to purchase lots 9, 10, and potentially split 11 with Dankovit is how we'd like to proceed.
Yeah, I'll point out that the resolution also has a provision in there, and you may recall each time we've done a land sale for a project in the park, the either Dankovic, and it was Grover, or CMI or EDH, pardon me, have asked for a license agreement to go do, studies, test pits, borings, and that kind of thing. This resolution allows the IDA to issue licenses to both CMI and Dankovic to go investigate lots 9, 10, and 11. We know there's interest there. We have updated appraisals for all of those lots. We have yet to figure out where the new lines would be drawn, so that's going on in the backdrop as well. To answer John's question, if the project, right now there's estimates, between engineering and the actual cost of the project, it may be something between 800,000 and $1 million of capital outlay. If Cayuga Milk is interested and willing to be a participant in the capital expense, the goal would be to utilize those dollars as much as possible for the capital expenditure to get the pipes in the ground, along with meters and the other fire hydrants and things like that. That would be something that the IDA would have to procure, similar to the sewer project. To the extent that the IDA is installing things, buying pipes, it would be not too different from the process we went through to hire Highlander, for example, to put the sewer line in. There is some funding out there. The Cayuga County Water and Sewer Authority got a $700,000 grant awarded to it for the project through the Northern Borders Regional Commission. That's to the Water and Sewer Authority, and they're weighing whether it's worth pursuing, giving some timing. It's not too different from EDA, not quite as bureaucratic, but it's bureaucratic. There may be a way, and we can continue to investigate whether the Water and Sewer Authority could establish the IDA as a sub-agent or sub-grant recipient for the Northern Borders Grant. If so, then if we go through the right hoops, there may be a way to get reimbursed for $600,000 from that grant for the project. So there may be a way to stay relatively cost neutral on this. And I would point out also that when we closed the EDH and CMI projects last year in September, October, we included a mechanism where portions of their IDA administrative fees were deferred, I think 5 years. There may be a way to accelerate that or figure that out. So the IDA does stay purely cost neutral on this, but we're figuring out all those parts and those pieces.
Justin, when I talked with them, they were quite insistent that their attorney and you work out how to use that money through the IDA rather than anybody else to make sure that they don't get in trouble with the town. Have they talked to you about that?
Yeah, I'm talking with Jared Lusk a couple times a week now, and we're putting together an outline of whether a memorandum of understanding or a funding agreement or some mechanism could be struck up between CMI and the IDA in the first instance
They were quite insistent that they work with you to make sure that that was done in a way that they felt safe with, Justin.
Yep, likewise, and we're also, and as Rick is aware, and Michael, we're also looking at some related issues regarding the project, including, how the IDA can sell water. Those things are generally regulated at some level, so we're trying to find the KSS, the keep it simple process, or is as simple as possible to make sure that once a bulk rate is established with the city, either the IDA would acquire water directly from the city, or if it makes more sense, Cayuga Milk could be a direct customer of the city and they would.
Justin, I'll have to stop you right there. No one would be buying water directly from the city. They'd be buying water from the water authority.
Okay. I know you guys are re-upping that contract, so we'll be part of that discussion. So,
Right.
yeah, so.
So back to my original question. Do we stand to have any type of liability for this project? Do we have to put any money into this project up front?
There may be a way to stay cash neutral on it. But again, I'm not sure. The Water and Sewer Authority is been kind and generous enough to pay for MRB's engineering services. So that authority is attending to the planning, design, and engineering. To the extent that we put together a funding structure with CMI that is sufficient to pay for the whole project once we have a firm number on it, and we're kind of at a point where we're bidding it, you may be revenue neutral, not having to appropriate into the project. There could be a situation where you advance some cash early and get it reimbursed, or there may be reimbursements that come through that grant. We're not 100% sure yet, but that's on top of the list of things that we're going to start tackling here in the next month.
So this resolution just allows us to contract with
Well,
MRB?
what the resolution does is it authorizes the general undertaking of the project. It authorizes going out and getting the easements we need from BOCES and DOT. And it authorizes starting the conversations with the Water and Sewer Authority, starting the conversations with the city on water itself, starting the conversations with CMI. So there's no appropriation here yet. There's no funding committed yet by the IDA because we don't have a firm picture on what it's exactly going to cost.
It also authorizes the signing of the agreement with MRB along with the
Yep.
Water and Sewer Authority. And it also issues a negative declaration under seeker for the water project.
That's right.
And the licensing agreements that Justin referenced a little bit earlier in the discussion for some testing and due diligence that the companies may want to do on the remaining parcels that they are interested in purchasing from us.
Justin, when do you think we'll have more detailed numbers and a better idea of how the water, who buys the water, who sells the water, at what price, all that? When do you think we might have that information?
Well, I think my first task is to work with the plant's counsel, Jared Lusk, to nail down the funding commitment and structure. As Andy pointed out, the water purchase structure is largely a function of the Water and Sewer Authority's discussions with the city. So to the extent that there's any help needed on that, we can certainly get involved and provide help. But I defer to Andy on the timing of those discussions with the city and the likelihood of how quickly they might be nailed down with a firm water cost for bulk purposes.
Just one last time, we did ask, and I wasn't at the last meeting, so forgive me, maybe you discussed it. But we did ask, and Aurelius did respond that they could not provide the water.
The water authority cannot.
Aurelius responded they couldn't provide the water to the plant?
The incremental water.
I don't know if that question. I don't really, I'm not aware of the answer.
Did they, you, Andy, was that you?
Yes.
And they responded to us, Mike? That they couldn't do it, or how did they respond to us?
No, Carl and Oates had a meeting. with
Well,
Aurelius.
there's two, I'm sorry, I'm confused with the question, but the water authority, we met with the town of Aurelius. And they were not gonna allow the water authority to sell water in the town of Aurelius. Your question is about supply, and I don't know that the town has ever answered that question. I don't believe they know. They haven't done any, that I know of, any engineering work to decide what their capabilities and supply source would be. I think that's an unanswered question for everyone. I think it's problematic. We have information that was been done. The milk plant did some flow work. They hired an outside company to do some flow testing. And I think we've seen numbers, but I don't know if the town of Aurelius has ever answered that question for any, I don't think they know themselves.
No, but the milk plant folks were at the last meeting and their conclusion was there wasn't adequate water.
Whose conclusion, Andy?
Brian Linney's. So, pardon me, I was just gonna say your colleague Brian Linney was here at the last meeting and he had shared having a discussion with the town of Aurelius. And if memory serves correctly, it said it wasn't his feeling based on his conversation with them that they could adequately provide the amount of incremental water they need for your current and potentially expanding project as
Correct.
well. Okay.
And we had done third-party line testing that showed it wasn't going to be, it wasn't sufficient to deliver for needs for our expansion.
Okay, was there a letter sent to the town
That,
recently within the last month or two, asking them to?
I don't know that for certain. I don't know that. I'd have to follow up with our project manager to confirm that.
Just a side note, another benefit to this water line would be the total IDA properties. As I've been made aware you have property near the mall that would not have water service at this point either. And this line that the IDA and the water authority are looking to put in to the milk plant area, to the current industrial park, could be extended further north into that properties near the mall. Because this line is probably at its potential right now. So if someone was to come in, a large industrial water consumer, and want to buy the property you have near the mall, I think we'd be having the same conversations over and over again, that we don't have enough water. So I think if you look a little further past, I mean, we've all been so concerned with the present project, but as I've looked at this a little further, I think it resolves some other issues 4, 5, 10 years down the road.
So,
Right, but the basic answer is, CMI's done the engineering study and they've determined there's not adequate supply for the expansion. We also know Grover's looking at an expansion. Then we also know that CMI is kind of hinted that there's probability there's going to be some more expansions. And Aurelius hasn't really been forthcoming with any of our inquiries.
So once this line is put in and it's over in Aurelius, does that mean once we're done with what we're doing, others will be able to tap into that same line?
Well, that would be up to the IDA who taps into it. It would be your line. It would be your line.
Because this has been an issue for years, right?
Long time.
I mean, I remember being at the
I thought it was
mall
getting
and it
turned
was
over
always an
to
issue.
this water and sewer.
Well, when that happens, then it would be our concern. But at this point, it's your line. But you know, to your point, this would resolve some issues.
Are you thinking in the lines of capacity?
No, I'm just recalling years ago, this was always an issue, the water in the city and all of that.
There's water quality.
And so as the IDA, if we end up paying for this line and having this line brought into Aurelius now, my question is, down the road, maybe we're all done in Aurelius, right? Maybe we have property somewhere else. Now that that line's there, is it going to allow other people in Aurelius to be able to, or other businesses tap into that?
I would,
That'll be a decision of this board. If and when, I mean, if the IDA continues to own the line.
it wouldn't be so much of a public line, it's still a privately owned line, whether it's the IDA, the water authority, the town of Riss, as we are finding out now. But if whoever owns the line would control who can tap into it.
Hey, Paul, when this is done, would you call the vote, please?
I'm sorry.
Would you call the vote when we're ready to vote? I have to abstain out of this.
Eric White's chair, so once I'm done
Oh.
going through the solution. All right,
My son's a town judge, his wife's deputy clerk. I'm like member of the fire department.
resolution of the
If we
Cayuga
could,
County
yeah, I guess.
IDA authorizing one preliminary actions in connection with the undertaking of a certain water supply line project to support existing and future facilities located within the Aurelius IDA Park. Two, the acquisition of certain easements and rights of way for the project. Three, the establishment of a capital project account and related matters for the project. Four, the negotiation of certain capital project funding, water supply and operation and maintenance matters relating to the proposed project. Five, the provision of a revocable license agreement in connection with certain site investigations. And six, the adoption of findings relating to the project pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act. The entirety of the authorization within the package here. You recall or require a roll call vote for this authorizing resolution.
Are you asking me to do that?
Yeah, you,
I can do the roll call vote.
okay.
Okay, Mr. Lockwood,
I will abstain.
staying, okay. Mr. Latinishon,
No.
Mr. Shea,
Yes.
Ms. Spino,
Yes.
Mr. Lattimore,
Yes.
and Mr. Marshall.
Yes.
Is that everybody? Okay.
Yes, it is.
So we have 4 yes, 1 no, and 1 abstain.
Motion passes.
Further discussion?
We need an executive session.
Oh, we completed the evaluation of our property.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
Were we
Yeah.
not gonna discuss that? Or?
I had mentioned
Well,
earlier.
I'll get to what my point is, as long as there's somebody here from the milk plant and they've shown an interest in buying the rest of the lots there, I would think we should provide for them what this evaluation was.
I don't know, we should provide it to them.
Yeah, I think we need to discuss it first.
Yeah. Is that a motion to go in executive session
It is.
for kind of sale of property?
Yes.
There's a second.
Second.
Yeah, all in favor?
Right.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Thanks.
Stay warm. Thank you for coming.